in Islam, you've got a monadic doctrine of God, and where else can anything fit except under the supreme will? And so Islam means submission. Whereas you've got a textured doctrine of God, haven't you, with multiple persons relating to one another. Am I drawing a long bow there?
No, I think you're absolutely right, and I think that this relationship, this, let's say, radical unity and radical diversity, which exists in God,
right,
is really the best. It's the highest version of understanding how reality works. In a way, it's beyond all reality. Obviously, we don't have this radical unity and radical diversity, but we see it as, let's say, an infinite model of how actually things function in the world. And so there always needs to be this balance between the unity and multiplicity for anything to exist. And we see that not just in the Trinitarian theology, but we also see in Christology this idea of Christ's two natures and the human nature submitted to the divine nature. All of these subtleties that we find in Christianity are very important in terms of understanding how reality actually lays itself out to us. And I think that that's why there has been, at least traditionally in ancient Christianity, this sense of this balance between, let's say, a hierarchy that loves. And love is really the key. It's like, that's the key. Love is the key to how God exists, but it's also the key to how everything exists, because love doesn't abolish multiplicity, right? If you love someone, you don't want to suck them into you so that they cease to exist. You want them to exist separate from you, but there's something which binds you completely to that person. And that is actually, I think, the way that the world exists.
Right.
That's how cars exist. That's how everything that exists exists through love, through this balance between unity and multiplicity.
Yeah. There's a great book called The One, the Three, and the Many by Colin Gunton, who was a great fan of John Zazoulis, who was an Orthodox theologian, but very much thinking about the struggle, certainly within the history of philosophy, is the struggle between the one and the many. And you can think of Plato being a very much a one-y kind of a person, and Aristotle being a very much particular kind of a person. Where do you find the union of the one and the many? You see it in this doctrine of the Trinity, in which the persons have a crunchy, concrete particularity to them, but they are not individuals. And I just wonder, when you look at the history of the West, very much it's a history of individualism, where you try to discover yourself in splendid isolation. Like I'm just a billiard ball and you're just a billiard ball, and every once in a while we'll clack together and that might be fun. But I have my own identity within myself, which is a sub-Trinitarian theology, I guess.
I really do see it as the impossibility of seeing this hierarchical relationship. That's this idea, like I said, that we want to, the desire that they had in late Middle Ages, like in nominalism, to put God up so high that God is so transcendent that he becomes arbitrary, and then the world then also becomes ultimately arbitrary. And you see, and that's what ends up bringing about this problem. And I understand why people hate hierarchy, because it's been so demonized in popular culture. But I think that proper hierarchy is just the way that things naturally exist. And by proper, I do mean that that which is above, their purpose of that which is above is to love that which is below, not to just clamp down and rule down upon those that are below him.